This is my deliverable 7, Leading an Effective Team presentation. My first slide overviews the roles and behaviors of the team. There are many types of teams. First are those that perform on a permanent basis, which this means they do not dissolve once the task is complete, and those that perform on a temporary basis. So unlike the permanent ones, they do dissolve once the task is complete. There are multiple different types of teams that I go over here on the bottom half of the slide. The first being a multifunctional team, which is comprised of multidisciplinary individuals who may work in different areas of the organization but share similar functions and skill sets that can be used to address team needs. An informal team represents subgroups within an organization that may or may not be appointed by the organization, such as social groups. A traditional team is composed of functional area or departments and is appointed by supervisors or managers within the organization. Problem-solving teams are typically short-term and goal-specific, consisting of cross-functional team members. They are usually focused on a specific project and often with specific goals, tasks, and time constraints. A leadership team is commonly ongoing, and they sometimes may be formed as a committee, which is appointed by organizational executive managers or leadership. Self-directed teams are becoming more common in New Age management. They have the freedom and autonomy to determine the course of action and goals. They may have clear goals, but also the freedom to choose a leader. Another type of growing team is the virtual team, which helps to allow team members to meet anywhere in the world to work together. Here are 4 team building models, the first being forming, which in this stage of the team building, forming takes place, so the group is concerned with orientation and seeks to establish boundaries by testing assumptions. The second is storming. This is categorized by conflict and polarization and is a normal and necessary part of team growth. It helps the group members compete for position as new ways of work are established. The third is norming. This stage applies resistance and largely overcome, and the team begins to work as a cohesive group. And the last stage is performing, where the group works to perform together. The team knows what is going on. It is the high-performing team. We see strong interpersonal relationships forming at this stage, and this helps to establish flexibility and functionality between team members. Best practices for influencing the team for performance and productivity. I am suggesting the 7 habits model, which introduces the process of learning new habits, which can contribute to team effectiveness. The 7 habits include being proactive, which includes forward thinking and working to address issues that could arise in the future. The second of the habits is beginning with the end in mind. So when a vision is thought out, it's important to think about the future and works on a plan towards that goal. The third of the habits is putting first things first. This includes considering where the priority is, what is important, and what is urgent. The fourth is thinking win-win. This is a habit that offers unpretentious feeling for mutually beneficial solutions or agreements. The fifth of these habits is seeking to understand and then to be understood. It is important to seek to understand others by using empathetic listening, and which compels others to reciprocate that feeling as well. The 6th habit is synergizing, which combines the strengths of individuals through positive teamwork to achieve goals, which cannot be done alone. And the 7th of the habits is sharpening the saw, which balances and renews resources and energy to create a long-term effective routine. Appropriate rewards and compensation. Rewards can be either monetary or non-monetary. Monetary rewards could include annual bonuses, percentages of annual salary, commission, or pay raises. A non-monetary reward would be recognition, trophies, participation awards, etc. Team-based compensations can also be in the form of profit sharing or stock options. So with profit sharing, the team receives a percentage of the overall profits within the organization, and with stock options, they are available only to team members who are associated with a business that have stock as an organizational asset. Internal processes to influence the effectiveness of the team. It is important to set clear expectations and communicate those expectations with all team members involved. With clear expectations, the team is able to determine the best path to achieve the required outcomes. Leadership engagement is also essential to help ensure that the team stays on task and is not slowed down by any roadblocks along the way. Another necessary thing is to have effective and efficient communication mechanisms. This helps to develop effective teams. And to foster team cohesion, employee satisfaction, and motivation, organizations should implement a formal conflict resolution process in cases where a team cannot effectively resolve conflict internally. Here are some examples of effective team member communication: keeping an open door policy, encouraging two-way feedback, clarifying goals and responsibilities, using time wisely, and using the appropriate forms of communication. So I'm sure you are familiar with all of these things as they're kind of self-explanatory, so I'll just kind of go over them. The first one, with an open door policy, communication is open. It's encouraged that people come and communicate with one another. This helps to offer the team a message of transparency. With two-way feedback, although verbal feedback can be a positive experience for all, encouraging a two-way conversation that enables your team to self-evaluate, it is difficult to retain all the information this way. Clarifying roles and responsibility is important because unclear instructions and miscommunication are a common cause of any workplace that deals with team interactions. Time wisely is also important. Coming together face-to-face in an informal situation provides the team environment for more team members to feel relaxed and go over what they have been working on. It is also important to use the appropriate form of communication because there are so many different ways that we communicate nowadays. So depending on the project, this should be how you determine what kind of communication is needed. That could be one-on-one, face-to-face meetings. That could be Skype calls, written letters, emails, texting. It all depends on the situation and the project that is being worked on. Most appropriate collaboration and strategy to develop team intelligence. So I am suggesting to integrate diversity. I think that by integrating diversity into the culture of any organization, it is likely that your team will be more efficient, effective, strategic, and innovative. Having a culture of integrated diversity in individuals with different perspectives, personality traits, experiences, educations, etc., is a competitive advantage in a knowledge-based economy. Often, because of diverse perspectives, it is difficult for an entire team to observe another individual, event, or idea under the same light. We tend to view these team members different in terms of their weaknesses instead of their strengths. With effective coaching, people can be taught to champion strengths in a team. By training team members to learn how to complement individual weaknesses with the strengths of others, a high-functioning team can then be established. Challenges as a leader. Poor communication can be noticed when team members interrupt or talk over each other. On the opposite end of the spectrum, there is the potential that there's just awkward silences and no one is taking the initiative to start the conversation. Also, some team members may agree during a meeting, but then on the other end of the spectrum, they may leave the meeting, walk out, and start complaining about what others were saying. Many reasons exist as to why teams have challenges with communication. For example, if a team leader has not been designated or emerged, communication can be challenging because it becomes a free-for-all where no one is assigned the tasks, everyone decides to take the lead, and no one knows who to go to when they have questions or concerns. Groupthink is also a problem with team communication. This means that the team is now unwilling or unable to consider alternatives. Challenges may arise when a person starts putting their position ahead of the interests of the team. When a team relies solely on email and written communication, like I stated in my last slide, you have to make sure you're using the appropriate communication styles. Written messages should be used for a summary of what has been discussed and agreed upon, or a question or request for a quick need. Here I just kind of go over some ways to overcome those challenges I went over on the previous slide. So as a manager, effective communication with your employees is key to both the success of the organization and your own. Your employees want to hear from you and they want to be heard. It's important to give your feedback to them and be consistent and clear when you are providing this feedback so that they know how to develop themselves. The frequency of communication that works best for each employee may be different, so it's important that the manager knows their preference and works towards that preference. It's important to be open and available for communication with your employees so that they feel comfortable coming to you when they need to talk about something. And another challenge is balancing your own tasks. So you might not know how to split your time, but it's important that leaders and managers remember that teams should always be the priority. You should strive to be as available as possible, but it's also important to know that you set aside time to dedicate to your own individual responsibilities as well, because those need to get done too. This is my conclusion slide, so I just kind of go over a few of the main points during team processes. So here are some benefits of working in a team environment. With working in a team environment, each individual brings their own thoughts, ideas, and perspectives. Members can then divide the tasks up between each other based on individual talents, and this can be helped to utilize for the benefit of the entire group and will have a positive impact on the business's overall effectiveness, which leads to improved morality, productivity, and quality of service. A reward and compensation system for teams typically follows the 6 criteria of success listed below. So it fits the financial outlook of the organization. It is controllable and often measurable. It encourages people. It's encouraging in nature. Cultivates the vision and the mission of the organization. It provides clear guidelines and coincide with professional and individual growth. And it must inspire and reward team based on organization's overall performance goal. Even though no two teams are alike, there are some shared characteristics of high-performing teams. This includes high-performing leadership, clear purpose and goals, talent, skills, performance ethics, team effectiveness, conflict resolution, open communication, power, and empowerment. And then the following is necessary of team leaders to produce a high-performing team. So the team leaders must inspire more than they drive, resolve conflicts and increase cooperation, set stretch goals, communicate the vision and the direction, and gain trust from all team members involved. And this is my reference slide. Thank you for watching.